Welcome along to Matchday Live this afternoon or this evening as Leicester City travel down to the south coast to face Southampton at St Mary's. And with all the team news, we've got our commentator down there, Chris Parrott.
Yeah, good evening, Dan. Two very notable names in the Leicester starting 11. James Maddison returns after missing the last two games and is captain tonight. And after cameos in the Premier League against Tottenham and Arsenal, Ricardo starts for the first time in the league since May, coincidentally against Southampton. This then the Leicester 11, Danny Ward in goal, a back four of Ricardo, Wout Faes, Harry Souttar and Timothy Castagne, who will play at left back. Midfield three of Keane and Dewsbury Hall, Papi Mendy and James Maddison, with Tete and Harvey Barnes operating either side of Kelechi.
I think we might have just lost the connection there to the St Mary's. Indeed we have, so I can run you through the Southampton starting 11. We pretty much got there with the Leicester one, didn't we, with Kelechi, Iheanacho there of course up front. From a Southampton point of view, we'll just take a quick look at their team. Now, as you can see, it looks as if they'll be playing 4-4-2. They've got Bazunu in goal, Maitland-Niles at right back, Bednarek, Bella Kocher and Kyle Walker-Peters. A midfield of Alcaraz, Ward-Prowse, Lavia and Sulemana, with Shea Adams, who got two, of course, at King Power Stadium earlier on in the season. And Theo Walcott. So interesting team news from both sets of teams. We can introduce you now to our guests this afternoon. We've got two strikers, no Matt or Jerry as well, which is a blessed relief, I think, for 1 week certainly. We've got David Nugent and Matty Fryatt with us this afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
David's got half an eye on the other Premier League games at the moment for your fantasy team, but you're fully with us and invested now for what hopefully will be a good afternoon for the Foxes.
Yeah, hopefully. Obviously disappointing result, in the cup midweek against Blackburn, but it's a chance to, put things right, get 3 points on the board against a struggling Southampton side. Yeah,
they're probably in the exact same boat, albeit their result was possibly even worse in midweek against League Two Grimsby.
Yeah, it was worse. Obviously, League Two team going and turning them over, and they've had a trouble season. They're obviously at the foot of the table, and then they've already been through three managers so far. And the home record isn't good. I think they've only won one this season at home, so they're in not a good place, and it's an opportunity for Leicester to sort of eradicate what went wrong in midweek and sort of bounce back and get back on a bit of running form, and it's a good opportunity, although it's one where it's probably a don't lose type of game. If you can get the 3 points, brilliant, but it's one of them you don't want Southampton getting any more than a point, but it's all to play for.
Yeah, we're just under an hour away, of course, from kickoff down on the south coast. Hopefully we'll have no technical issues that we've clearly having with the team down there. Here's what we've got coming up though over the course of the next hour or so with the company of Matty and David. We're going to look back at what happened of course on Wednesday, which wasn't good. We'll also look at 4 years of Brendan Rodgers as well this week. He's celebrating that anniversary. We'll look at some of the high points during his tenure so far. We'll hear from Wout Faes, the central defender, has spoken to us this week looking ahead to the game. And we'll look back at some classic goals as well scored against Southampton. That was a very memorable one, wasn't it, of course, from Jamie Vardy right at the start of the title-winning season, of course. As we've mentioned already, it's a big game and it's a real opportunity. I think when you play a team that are bottom of the league, clearly struggling, they've lost 8 of their last 10. On paper, it seems like it'll be good for Leicester, but maybe that doesn't really work in Leicester's favour, if you know what I mean.
No, as you said, they had a really disappointing result as well, losing to League Two Grimsby. They want to come out and show their manager that they want to play for the club, they want to stay in the Premier League and try and get 3 points. Same for Leicester, they're in a sticky situation. Both teams are struggling in the league, but this is Leicester's chance to try and get 3 points, and rather than looking over the shoulder, trying to look a bit more further forward and try and get into the top half of the table. Yeah,
it was a bit of a mixed February, wasn't it? There was those 2 brilliant wins over Aston Villa and Spurs. That was then followed, of course, by defeats to Arsenal and Manchester United. But you look at those and you think those two teams will more than likely finish in the top 3 of the Premier League.
Yeah, I thought they were unlucky against Man United as well. I went to the game. First half they could have been 2-0 up. Could have been a totally different story, but I think obviously when you lose some key players, I was like Maddison in the past couple of games, you can see the reason why Leicester don't create many chances, because he's the main source who does it for them.
Yeah, and he's back in the team as well today, so that is a real bonus. Also captaining the side as well today.
Oh, it's massive, isn't it? The quality, the composure, the effectiveness that he brings, and it just, you look at the game and think it'd probably be a tight game, but the quality of what James Maddison possesses, you think that could be the difference, where Leicester possibly picking up a draw to 3 points is that vital. On the show last week against Arsenal, I'd got before the game, if Maddison's playing, a Leicester possible win. When I knew Maddison wasn't in the starting 11, I'd sort of averted and decided to go, unfortunately, against Leicester, and it turned out to be that case. But it just lacked that spark last week against Arsenal, and it's great to see him back in, as well as Pereira, another top performer. So 2 boosts there, but particularly in Maddison, and it's good to see him given the armband as well.
Yeah, James Maddison, of course, into his 5th season here with Leicester City. He was here for the start of the Brendan Rodgers reign, which has now lasted 4 years. He's celebrated that anniversary this week. And overall, you look at it, there's an FA Cup win in there. There's been a couple of 5th place finishes in the Premier League, a semi-final of a European competition. It's really been a fantastic 4 years.
Yeah, no, he's done ever so well since he came in. You know, obviously the FA Cup's a big highlight. You know, a tough game, but he managed to get through a great goal by Euro Tiemens to win it. And you know, obviously the 5th place finishers, you know, they were a couple of games away from getting into the Champions League, weren't they? And you know, towards the end of the season, you know, they picked up a couple of bad results and just missed out. But you know, I think Leicester's aim is to, you know, try and get back into Europe. You know, obviously it's not going to happen this season, but that comes down to, you know, to key injuries to key players, and they've struggled to, you know, to maintain any momentum in this season. But you know, if they can stay up this season, hopefully they can, and you know, next season we can start to look forward again, bring a few more players in, and try and get back into Europe where this club belongs.
Yeah, but Brendan Rodgers obviously won a number of trophies in his time in Scotland with Celtic, but that will have meant an awful lot to him, won't it, winning that FA Cup a couple of years?
Yeah, definitely a huge achievement to win an FA Cup, and then, as Nuge said, they've been placed in the top half all the time during his tenure, and obviously that was the highlight of it. But even last season with the Europa League run, it's very good achievement. This season he'll be a little bit disappointed in terms of the control. Maybe didn't get as many signings as possibly would have wanted, but happens that way. And there's been a bit of inconsistency this year, but hopefully just get away from trouble, sort of safe way to finish the season, start and get as high as possible, and then with the idea of planning for next season. But all in all, you look at it and think it's been a fairly successful period, and Brendan's been in charge of, and there still is plenty to play for this season as well. And then looking upon, can he extend that and go next season and probably add, there's obviously a few players that are coming out of contract, so that needs to be dealt with, and looking to probably get a few more in and try and push Leicester again up into that top half, and being in the positions where we see there in terms of FA Cup, Europa action and everything. So no, all in all, over his tenure, he's done well. It's just this year it's been a little bit indifferent.
And there are obviously factors and reasons for that we've talked a lot about this season. But I think as managers, if they stay at a club for a long time, they have to evolve the team, don't they?
Yeah,
they've got to make changes.
There comes a point where you have to make changes. You know, players are going to run out of contract. You know, players are going to get injured. You know, if you see the injuries over the past couple of years, it's mainly to the defence, isn't it? You know, obviously James Justin, Pereira's been out there, probably Leicester's 2 best fullbacks, you know, going forward. So, you know, they've strengthened in the window in January. I think they give the squad a bit of a lift, especially Tete down the right hand side. That one out winger looks promising. You know, Christensen left back. You know, he young 20-year-old, looks really powerful. Not in the team today, but looks like he's picked up a little injury. And Harry Southampton again, centre half. You know, big, tall, imposing centre half who, you know, he's really good in the air and looks calm on the ball. So, you know, you can see like when they first joined, you know, the results picked up a little bit, but again, when you go from a bad patch of form, you know, the results don't seem to go for you. You know, your main players are out, and then, but now it's just another chance to, you know, get 3 points back on the table and try and put performance with your best players on the pitch.
We've spoken about some of the high points in Brendan's range so far. One of them, ironically, was on the South Coast. That unbelievable Friday night back in October 2019, the 9-0 victory. A lot's been said about it, but that was just an unbelievable evening. Yeah,
you can obviously, we're seeing the goals now, and you know, Leicester were truly on fire this day. You know, was a hat trick for Vards. You know,
and Perez as well.
And Perez, Maddison getting a couple. You know, so it was an ideal game. You know, every time Leicester went forward, they looked like scoring, and you know, let's hope for another 9-0 today, eh?
Yeah, it would be pretty good, that, wouldn't it? But you look at the goals; they're all quality finishes as well.
Clinical, sort of like the Spurs game. They were clinical that day. Nuge mentions against United they had chances, but Leicester weren't able to convert them, but still got into those positions. As here, everyone that is just clinical, ruthless, raining goals, and there's touch with obviously some quality amongst that. But what we do for 3 points today, but again, it's one of them. Dress it well, be on the front foot. I think, as you touched on, the February fixtures were difficult, but performances weren't too bad. And to take 6 points, they're not in the worst position. And no one from the outside expected results against Arsenal and Manchester United. And before that, they were really impressive against Tottenham. And last time out against Villa, you'd like to think it's been a while since there's been a clean sheet. I think was it West Ham before the international break? It's been that long. It'd be like, can you get a solid foundation and build from the back? And obviously with Maddison, Barnes, Iheanacho, the players capable of scoring and creating. So can you make sure the defensive is solid so you can build on that to progress it forward? And there's enough quality to hurt Southampton, and they do struggle at the back. That's why they're down at the bottom as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that Matty makes there, particularly defensively, because you look at the Leicester team and the amount of goals that they've scored. They're I think, 7th or 8th highest scorers, maybe even higher than that. So that proves that isn't an issue, putting the ball in the back of the net. No,
you just got to do it on a consistent basis, haven't you? That's how you win. Obviously, clean sheets do win games as well, but if you can defend them well, keeping the clean sheets up to the strikers to do their job and get the ball in the back of the net. And when you got the likes of Kelechi, Harvey, James Maddison and Tete on the pitch, there's goals in the team, and if they can perform well today and create chances, I'm sure Kelechi, who has been on fire recently, can get a few more goals to his name.
Just an update on Victor Christensen. It's not brilliant news, I'm afraid. He picked up an injury to his ankle and will be out for around 4 weeks' time. So he's not in the back four today. One man that is, of course, is Belgian Wout Faes. And I sat down with him at Seagrave this week to preview the game with Southampton.
Wow, when you look back at February as a whole, the month, obviously there were wins away at Villa, at home to Spurs, then the 2 Premier League defeats to Manchester United and Arsenal, who are both obviously doing really well in the league. 6 points from 12. How did you look back at that?
Yeah, I think you summed it up quite well. We had a great start of the month, which was very pleasing. I think the games we played were very good, and afterwards, obviously, we knew we had some difficult games coming up, but yeah, in these games it's all about the details, and they turned out badly for us. But I think after all, we can't be unsatisfied about the month. But yeah, we have to get back to winning.
I guess it's one of those that, had it happened the other way round, had you had the 2 tough games first and then the 2 brilliant wins, the whole mood and everything just feels different.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, what you say, the start of the month was great, but then afterward, yeah. You always remember the last game you played, and yeah, for the moment it's not on a positive note. So yeah, we have to get back to winning.
Can you still take confidence, particularly from the first half performance at Old Trafford against Manchester United? Then, of course, in those other games as well.
Yeah, of course. I think we played a good first half. They weren't much better than us. I think we can say that if we scored some chances, we would have had a different game. But yeah, it's like this. Also, Arsenal, we knew they were gonna come to our place and have the ball, because yeah, I think with the ball, one of the best teams in the world for the moment. Afterwards, it's not that they played us from one side to the other like choking, but yeah, all about points, and for the moment we didn't take the points.
And now we're into an even busier March, starting of course with the game against Southampton at the weekend. How much are you looking forward to that one? How important a game is this?
I think everybody knows how important the game is. If you look at the table, yeah, it's a 6-point game almost, let's say it like this. So yeah, we have to go there, play our football, and then hopefully get a good result.
You must be confident as a group going to places like Southampton, going to any ground really, like we spoke about going to Old Trafford, that you know you can cause problems for any team.
Yeah, that's it. I think if we stick together, we play our football, then we can compete with any team. And yeah, the thing is, this weekend is a very important game where we have to take 2 points.
From a personal point of view, things have changed slightly in the last month. You've got a new central defensive partner, particularly in those Premier League games alongside Harry Souttar. How have you found that?
Yeah, very good, very pleasing. It's good to have him next to me. He's helping the team, so it's very good for us.
Do you think you dovetail each other quite well? You both work as a team?
I think so, yeah. As a centre back, you need some games to adjust the small positioning, but I think, yeah, it goes better every game, after every game, so yeah, it's going quite well.
That was Wout Faes there speaking ahead of the game with Southampton. What have you made of his season in particular? He came in at an important time, didn't he, for Leicester? They really needed a new central defender in the building. It was right at the end of the transfer window, wasn't it, in the summer?
It was outstanding when he first came in, made a real big difference. Probably one of the top centre-backs going into the World Cup. And then he had a little bit of a dip, which is only natural in young players. He's still a young centre-back. And of late, I thought Tottenham, he played really well, was on the front foot. His best when he's sort of aggressive and carries the ball out well for the back line, breaks lines with it. But before the World Cup in particular, I thought he was very good, much needed. But they're forming a partnership as well, getting used to one another. At times he can leave his position, but with Souttar coming in, he's a bit more balanced and can just reassure that. But up until the World Cup in particular, I thought he was outstanding. And then of late, there's a little bit of inconsistencies, but sort of getting back to the form as before the World Cup.
Let's concentrate at the other end of the pitch, which I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear, David. And Kelechi Iheanacho has been nominated for the Premier League Player of the Month for his performances, of course, in February. And if you look back at the goals and the assists that he's got, he's been vital, hasn't he, in Leicester getting those 2 victories over Villa and over Spurs.
Yeah, it's just nice to see a striker get a consistent run in the team. You know, in the start of the season, Rodgers was playing the home games, Daka was playing the away games, so there weren't that consistency of one striker playing. You know, so for Kelechi to get a run of games and get a bit of confidence, you can see that in his game. You know, he's scoring goals, he's getting assists, and I am a firm believer when you're a striker, you need at least 5-6 games to get into the rhythm, and I don't think they've had that since the start of the season until Kelechi started doing it now. So you can see why he's been nominated. You know, he's had a great month in February, and long may he continue. He looks like he's got that spot now and he wants to keep it.
Well, obviously you'll both know this as former forwards. How important is that word confidence that you've been using?
Yeah, it's massive. Because Kelechi, he's not really been involved in the season, has he, all season till now? So for him to come in and score a goal, and score the goals and the assists he's getting, is vital. I know and that just builds confidence. If you're playing week in, week out, knowing that next game you're going to play, he's scoring goals, it just builds and builds and builds, and you can see it in his play. He's a big, strong, boy. He can hold the ball up with his back to play. You can see and he can create goals, he can score goals, and if that continues against Southampton today, who do leak goals, Leicester could be in a good position.
Yeah, he really has been a vital cog and was fantastic, particularly in those 2 games. This one against Villa and then against Spurs.
Yeah, but it started from the cup run. I think it was Gillingham, played really well, earned his chance. Even at Walsall he came on, made a big difference. He does offer quality. He's a little bit different, isn't he, from what you'd go with Daka, Vardy, so offers something different. But here it's the assist, the way to pass.
He can drop in, can't
he can do both, can't he? He can go as a number 9, he can drop in as the 10. It's that way to pass, and this was the Tottenham goal where he backstar into the box and then finds the bottom corner. That's outstanding. He can do that, and he can turn it either way. He can go from the outside, inside. He's earned the chance to play. He's done all that he can with limited minutes, and now he's getting a run of games, and you're seeing how vital he is with the goals. And even the other night he comes on and gets a goal again, so he's full of confidence. But he's earned that opportunity. He's grasped it with both hands. Yeah,
his goals to minutes ratio is really, really good.
Yeah, no, for a striker it's important. That's what you're there for. You're there to score the goals. You say you can play as the 9. He drops into that number 10 position to link play up, and that allows Harvey and Tete to push up the field and get in behind. Laying the ball back to Maddison, who can do his stuff then. So, at the moment it's working for him, and if he continues, then he wants to have that number 9 spot to himself, because he's You know, he's got Patson and Jamie Vardy on the bench. You know, dying for that position. So if he's not playing well, you've got the replacements there. If he's not doing it. Yeah,
Kelechi Iheanacho very much known for goals. Someone who isn't known for goals is Papi Mendy, but he scored that absolute cracker, didn't he, against Spurs here at King Power Stadium a few weeks ago. That's been nominated for the Premier League Goal of the Month, and hopefully he'll win it, because this is an unbelievable strike for someone who scored 2 goals in his career.
Yeah, but on top of that, that was the catalyst on the day.
Yeah.
That was the equaliser, and then after that, he seemed to be everywhere. He was outstanding in that game. But this is a great strike, pure, just rising all the time, and Poster's got no chance with that, and it was a great strike. Maybe a little bit surprised him, but it was, as I said at the time, it was Tillemans-esque. It was that good. It's just rising, catches it sweet, and that's the only spot he could have hit it and managed to pull it off perfectly.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You can see from the celebrations from his fellow teammates and from even those in the crowd. It's a brilliant goal, that, and hopefully he can win the Premier League Goal of the Month, and hopefully Kelechi wins the Player of the Month, of course, as well. Right, let's hear from their manager then, Brendan Rodgers. He, of course, has been speaking ahead of this game with Southampton, and he was asked if it's a must-win game.
No, I don't think so. I just think it makes it really difficult if you lose the game, but that's not our intention. You know, our intention, we go into every game to win. We know more or less the number of wins that you need over the 14 games that can, you know, ensure that you're in this league. But there's still such a long way to go. But you can't deny at this stage it's not an important game, because it really, really is, and that's the challenge that I'm looking forward to seeing us accept.
And looking at the Premier League table, I think a lot of people would consider and say that this is quite a big game in the bottom half of the table because of the point difference between the two sides. From your perspective, how do you see that? How big a game is it in your eyes at the bottom of the table?
It's a really big game. You know, I don't want to dress up that it's not. You know, and I think for the players, they will know it's a big game. You can't hide away from it and say, like I said, it's another game, and you know we're in a position where we don't want to be. You know, we had 1 point after 6 games, and we had some really good performances and others not so good. But we're clear on it. We've 14 games to go, and we're 3 points above the line as such. And if we concentrate on our own performance and focus on that and bring in the intensity to the game and the quality that we have from that intensity, then that'll give us a chance to get points. And this is a big game, of course.
Since Southampton made their recent change, Ruben Sellers, the new head coach, have you noticed any change in their play, how they set up?
Not just gone back to a little bit more basics and how they've been before. Some of the more experienced players have come in, and obviously I watched the Chelsea game and we see the Leeds game. So now this and they're a group of players that work hard, and when their tails are up can be a really good side, and I think they've shown that over a few years. So we go there, we have to be ready to fight and run and win that physical battle, and then once you earn the right, then you have to play your football, and that's what we'll aim to do.
You expected them to be smarting as well after their result in the FA Cup?
Yeah, it's always disappointing. You know, you make changes and you give opportunities to players, and then you end up seeing an opportunity go. And that's not any disrespect to either Grimsby or Blackburn who we played, but if you're a Premier League team and you're on it and you're focused, then you expect to go through. So both of us haven't missed opportunities, but now it's the next game, and that's the focus.
Brendan Rodgers there, he wasn't drawn on the must-win question, was he really there? He said, no, it's still a little bit early in the season for that, but you think must not lose today. That's how you're looking at it.
Yeah, I would. Just with how Southampton's season's gone, obviously they're on to the third manager. Don't score too many, concede a lot. It is an opportunity early in the season, obviously, turn Leicester over, and it's a case of can you reverse that and go and do what Southampton did to Leicester early in the season. But for me, it would be don't lose, and it would be a bonus to pick up 3 points. Obviously, Brendan's not going to send out the message, let's play negatively, let's see what we can get. A draw will do. Of course, he goes into every game wanting 3 points, but it'd be, as I'd be looking at it, thinking, do not lose, but still with when you get the moments, can you seize on them and show that quality and capitalise on that? Because there's enough in there to get the goals.
Yeah.
It's just, can it be secure, can it be solid, and make sure that's the foundation to play from. A little bit like with the Tottenham game, limited attacks through Tottenham, and then earned the right to go forward and sort of the same with that. But no, it's one of them where he'd be looking at, don't lose deep down, but he'll say to you, obviously you're going for it 3 points and is a little bit early in the season, but you don't want to be drawn into those bottom places.
No, of course not. And I know we've already spoken about the players going forward, that when the chances come, they've got to take them, really, haven't they? But at least those chances are being created. I think it's when they're not being created, that's when you start to worry.
Yeah, and it's all down to one man, and I think Brendan said in his press conference that when Maddison plays, he brings the best out of all the other players. You see Harvey Barnes link up with Maddison. Every time he gets on the ball, like, everyone makes runs because it's going to be a perfect pass. So that's why I think Leicester could get a positive result today, just because of one man. Because you've seen against Arsenal, didn't lay a glove on Arsenal, did we? Yeah. No shots on target. So, but I think Southampton, their fans are expecting a performance from them. I think they'll be coming out of the blocks, and I think that could play into Leicester's hand a little bit. They need the 3 points, and if Leicester just kind of sit back a bit and try and hit them on the counter with Maddison in the hole, feeding the players, and I think it could be a good day.
Neither of you want to, but we do need to talk about defensive issues. It's frustrating, and Brendan Rodgers must be tearing his hair out, because one hand giveth, Ricardo's back, first Premier League start, the other taketh away, Victor Christensen out for 4 weeks. You can't really make it up at the moment.
It's hard to take, but injuries are part of football.
Yeah.
I know he's a young lad, he's 20, 4 weeks out with an ankle injury. It's going to be tough for him, because he looked a promising signing. He looks really positive going forward, big, tall, strong, powerful player. So, but again, you see Ricardo coming back from his injury, so that's positive news as well. But it's always the back lines. There's never been a settled back four, has it? It's always something changing. Wout Faes has seemed to got his spot, and then it's anybody else really who's fit. Amarty's had his chance. Luke Thomas has had his chance, but now I think with Castagna and Pereira playing, I think it gives them a bit more solidarity at the back, and the two full-backs who are really attacking. So I think it could work out. Which
way round will it be? Castagna's been playing right back, hasn't he, with Christensen left back. Does Ricardo come in and take the right back role, or does he go to left back? Does Castagna move to left back? How do you see that?
I think with the more versatility in Castagna, you'd go to the left side. Pereira are more suited to that right side and bursting forward when he can. I'd say that was but we'll have to see. You'd think it was that, but again, with Pereira coming in, albeit Christensen's done really well, is tenacious, it does give more experience to the back line. With Pereira, Castagna, Faes is probably the youngest one out of them all. So again, offers more experience, and can they be tight, can they be compact and pick your opportunities when, say for instance, Castagna can go forward, or mainly we'll see it with Pereira, especially down that right hand side. That's going to be crucial as well. With Tete and Pereira, the relationship and working hard off the ball as well as on the ball, not only to cause problems but getting back and double up. And it's always, you find away from home, there'll be opportunities where Southampton on top, and you've just got to be strong and defend against that and nullify them to limited chances and build on the times you get your opportunities.
Yeah, because Leicester know that if they do have opportunities, they probably will have opportunities against Southampton, given the amount of goals that they've conceded this season. They are, of course, at bottom of the league. Let's hear from a man that follows them week in, week out. That's Adam Blackmore from BBC Radio Solent, as well as their manager, Ruben Sellers. It's been a turbulent season for the Saints, who find themselves bottom of the league and 4 points adrift of safety heading into this game. One of their 5 wins in the Premier League, though, did come in the reverse fixture at King Power Stadium, thanks to a Shea Adams double. Since then, there's been 2 changes of manager, and it's current boss Ruben Sellers who presided over a disappointing FA Cup defeat to League 2 Grimsby in midweek.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the time. We have the time to reflect. We watch it. First of all, we watch the game back, and we analyze the situations that led into that defeat. I think it was pretty clear that those two penalties condition the rest of the game, and those two situations are clearly situations that we can avoid. But there was not only that, was also the mentality and the togetherness in the key moments of the game that it was not there. And we analyzed the game from the perspective, or the football perspective, the things that we can do better or we should do better in that game. But we also analyzed the game in terms of player relations, player technical staff relations, things that need to be done in a different way, and our own way to conduct things. So has been a period to reflect, and I have the feeling that we are stronger now because we take some things seriously, and I think when you have a defeat like that, you need to even overanalyze sometimes. But it was yesterday, and now we're ready to go tomorrow.
I can't remember it being quite this bad for a long time, Dan, if I'm honest. I think when you go back more than a decade, possibly, when you're thinking about before promotion to the Premier League, maybe when they dropped to League One, it feels, ever since then in 2011, it's been fairly on an upward curve or an even keel at Southampton. And now this is the first time that the spectre of relegation really is hanging over them very badly, not just because of where they are in the league, but just because of how they're playing, and I think it's fans are starting to think, just lose belief, just starting to think they can't turn this round. So yeah, after the cup tie last night, that was a new low for the season, surpassing the Nottingham Forest home game where they didn't have a shot on target against the worst away team in the league, and that took some doing, but they managed to do it against Grimsby, and there was a dark day, that's for sure.
Unsurprisingly, there's huge onus on captain James Ward-Prowse, who has 8 goals and 3 assists in all competitions.
He's everything for it, really, and you just wonder how much more patience he can have with the club after the amount of years he's been there. But I think he scored all but one of the goals since the World Cup break. The club have scored, so that's about as important a cog as you can be, I think, in the machine. So, he came off the bench in the Grimsby game. Obviously, there was no intention for him to play, but when it was going so badly, they tried to get him back in. Of course, he's actually scored a few goals against Leicester in his time as well. I think he's got 3 penalties, the last 3 goals against you. So, he's just massive for them. He's everything. And they need to come up with solutions for matches that aren't hoping he gets a free kick 22 yards out.
Yeah, during that VT, you said just don't give him free kicks, basically, and it was repeated there, of course, by Adam Blackmore from BBC Radio Solent. He's just unbelievable over a dead ball, isn't he, James?
Yeah, and even from 30 yards out, you fear for a goal getting conceded, don't you?
It's a little bit like that with Maddison, I think, for other teams, but even more so with Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, and again, he shows it. I think he's like 1 goal off the all-time record for Premier League free kicks in the Premier League. So. Just don't get fouls when you enter the box, really. All penalties, but as again, Southampton, they are bottom of the league for a reason, and that's because they can't keep clean sheets, and it's down to Leicester to prove that, they're better than them today. I think they've got the better players as well, so we just need to, keep him quiet, and you never know if they get relegated. He could be a future signing for Leicester, because I can't see him playing in the Championship for Southampton if they go down. Yeah,
some of the stats surrounding Southampton this season are pretty damning. In their 24 games, they've conceded the first goal 18 times, and that's always going to put you under pressure.
Yeah, because you're always on the back foot, aren't you? And you always, even there, we always saw the VT, it's doom and gloom. Always thought with Hasenhüttl, they'd always go on a bad run and then turn it around, and obviously went with the change with Nathan Jones. It didn't really work out, the fans didn't want him in. And then signings were made at the end of January to try and lift the team. But they're then players who aren't used to the Premiership. It's completely different from playing in the European leagues. And they've got young players as well, so it's bedding those in. And then you're on to the third manager. The fans are a little bit disgruntled, negativity around it, and conceding goals on the back foot. There's a lot of things that are going against Southampton. Don't score too many, but they have got one player in the squad who is capable in Ward-Prowse. So. Like Nuge said, just try and keep him away from goal and don't give free kicks away. I think in terms of players, I think Maddison offers more, but in terms of set plays, there's not too many better than James Ward-Prowse.
you look at their home form as well, is really, really poor. I mean, but we're giving it the big sell that Southampton are struggling, and then you know what's coming next. But no, they've been really poor at home, even the last 5 results, barring the miraculous result, but not really against Chelsea because of the way they've been playing this season. That they've been really, really struggling.
Yeah, it's your home form. It's basically what keeps you in the league, and you know that's what the fans want. You want to see good home performances, picking 3 points up and trying to get points that way. But at the minute, you know, they can't seem to pick a point up anywhere. So you know, the other midweek win against Man City in the cup, didn't in the quarterfinals, was it? But after that, you know, when Nathan Jones goes and the new guy comes in, it's just gone from bad to worse. And you know, as I said, the home form is massive, but at the minute, you know, they can't seem to pick a point up from anywhere.
No, yeah, one more stat for you. 6 points they've got at home all season. 1 win, 3 draws. That's the lowest of any team in England's top 4 divisions. Jamie Scowcroft is down at St Mary's for us on the South Coast this afternoon on co-commentary duty. Good afternoon to you, Jamie. How is it down there, and can you feel the mood of a team that's only picked up 6 points at home this season?
You can do. It's obviously, you know, we talk about Leicester and sort of up and down form, but this is a team that are really, really struggling. On their 3rd manager, just been dumped out of the cup to lower league team as well. They got beat last week, and they are really, really scratching and desperate for points. Like you say, their home form is terrible. It's literally, you know, as bad as what you could possibly get. So I think it's a great chance for Leicester to come here and get the win, and I think they've got to look to be getting the 3 points today as well, because I think this team, for starting the front foot, I think this team, the crowd will get better. The crowd will get a little bit edgy with them, and they'll go under.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I was certainly going to ask. What's the atmosphere like already? I know it's still early to judge, 20 odd minutes away from kick-off, but obviously it can't be a great feeling around that club at the moment.
No, it's not, and it's a big club. It's an established club in the Premier League, and at the moment they're everyone's first tip to get relegated today, so they'll be looking at it. But they'll be looking at both teams. Will be saying this is a must-win game. Southampton certainly, a draw's no good for them. They need to win games of football, and I just think I've been here a couple of times this season. Southampton, you know, they start poorly, and if you can get the first goal, then all of a sudden there's just a lack of confidence goes right away through this stadium.
How important is James Maddison and the return of James Maddison? It's pretty much the battle of those 2 players, isn't it? Ward-Prowse and James Maddison, you'd feel today, James?
Huge. I think Maddison's the biggest player on the pitch. I think he's an England international. Everybody knows the qualities. He creates, he scores. I think he's absolutely vital that he stays fit, and you know, Brendan can pick him virtually week in, week out from now to the end of the season. If that is the case, then I'm sure Leicester will be absolutely fine. But I think he is the difference today from coming here, maybe taking a draw, but now with him in the side, I think you'd really look to win the game.
Yeah, because it isn't just his goals, is it? He can create so much for those teammates around him, and for someone, well, like yourself, you'd have loved to have played with James Maddison behind you.
Yeah, his qualities on the ball are just so good. There is, you know, we talk about Ward-Prowse at set plays. There is nobody better, but a very, very close second is James Maddison. But what James Maddison does more than Ward-Prowse is, in general play, he can affect the game, and he can get in little pockets, and he can make late runs into the box and score himself.
Well, thank you very much to James. We'll hear from you on co-commentary duty alongside Chris Parrott in around about 20 minutes time for kick-off, of course, at St Mary's. Let's get a quick reminder of today's team news. We'll start with Leicester City, of course, and with the news that James Maddison is back in the starting 11. They've got Danny Ward in goal, Castagna, we think, at left back, as Matty Fright was saying earlier, with Ricardo at right back, Suter and Faes in central defence, Dewsbury Hall and Mendy in the holding role, allowing Barnes, Maddison and Tete to support Kelechi Iheanacho. And from a Southampton point of view, we think it will be 4-4-2 for the Saints, with Bazunu in goal, Walker-Peters, Bella Kopcha, Bednarek and Maitland-Niles, with Alcaraz, Lavia, Ward-Prowse and Walcott in midfield, Shea Adams and Sulemana up front. Again, that could maybe be Walcott up front, we don't know. We'll have to see what happens come kick-off. Let's take a look back at some classic goals then, scored in Leicester colours against Southampton.
Lennon, Heskey, nice turn, Heskey draws away from Venison's challenge, what a goal! Oh! That's the goal of the season, it's got to be! A Super strike from Emil Heskey, and Leicester City leads Southampton by 2-0.
Mahrez away from Reed and Davis, superbly played. What a magnificent goal! Oh, it doesn't get much better than that. Riyad Mahrez with his first goal in 2015, bypassing two midfielders and placing the shot in the bottom corner to perfection.
Riyad Mahrez, poked off a Vardy, he's in here, he's scored again! Jamie Vardy, he's on fire! Never write Leicester off! They come from behind again, and in stoppage time, Jamie Vardy makes it 2-2. What a comeback!
Brooks again. It's towards Morgan. The captain plays his role. What a time to score your first of the season. A buccaneering header puts Leicester in front.
Only picked out Mahrez. Vardy. Okazaki alongside. Wonderful finish. Fantastic finish by Shinji Okazaki. His second of the evening and Leicester's fourth. One misplaced pass and Southampton punished again.
James Maddison is stood poised in the St Mary's rain, and I think he will strike it. Here goes Maddison! Oh, there's magic in that right boot. What a goal. James Maddison lights up a very special Leicester performance with a cracking goal.
Yeah, some classic goals there scored against Southampton. Normally we have Matt Elliott on moaning that his goals don't get on, and he doesn't score many against many teams, but you're now having a little moan that your goal against Southampton, isn't it?
Yeah, I scored one when Nige came back for his first time and cutting him from the left, whipped the bottom stick, but didn't find it on the VT. No. Jeez, Elliot.
Our producer getting the blame there, which is always pleasing. We're a couple of minutes away now from handing over to our commentary team. It's a massive game, isn't it? We've been talking about it. It's a real opportunity to get back to winning ways again.
Yeah, after the league table just popped up there as well. Southampton do get a result today. It's 21 points, go 3 points behind Leicester, so it just shows how vital this game is. You know, Leicester want to pull away from this relegation battle, and if they're playing bottom of the table, we're expecting hopefully a good performance and try and bridge that gap between the bottom three and try and get as far away as possible from it, because I keep saying if Southampton get the result 23 points in it, then and that's from bottom of the table, not from third bottom, so you can see you're getting a bit squashed up at the minute, and if Leicester win, they can try and look forward rather than backwards.
Well, that backs up really what you were saying about making sure that Leicester don't lose.
Yeah, don't lose, and compared to the February fixtures, it's one you can approach and not be fearful of it. Different opposition, they're down there for a reason, and be on the front foot, attack Southampton and sort of get the crowd on the back, and you'll see the confidence just drain from the Southampton players, and Leicester just be difficult to beat first and foremost, but then play from there. But again, it's a game where Southampton be looking, it's a must win for them. It's a little bit different for Leicester, but there'll be enough in there for Leicester to hopefully go and get the 3 points during the game.
No surprises that the cameras down at the St Mary's are trained on James Maddison. He's very much the key man at the moment for the Foxes. We've got enough time for both of you to give us your score predictions, please, for this evening. How do you see it going?
I'm going 2-0. 2-0 Leicester, and Maddison and Kelechi to carry on scoring.
Don't think it'll be a clean sheet. But I do fancy Leicester. No clean sheet. I fancy Ward-Prowse actually.
Yeah.
But 2-1 Leicester win. I still think there's enough in there, but it might be a clean sheet. We'll have to wait and see. But I fancy Leicester 2-1, enough attacking quality, and see Leicester doing a good job on Southampton today.
Yeah, let's hope that you're both correct then. Of course, 15 minutes now to go until kick-off. That means we can hand you over to our commentary team down on the South Coast this afternoon. Chris Parrott, he was there back in 2019 when Leicester put 9 past Southampton. Let's hope it's the same again. He's alongside James Scowcroft today, so do stay with us after this short little break.
Because memories never fade, no matter how long. We'll still remember the moments of excitement and the impressions of Thailand. Amazing Thailand, now even more amazing.
Lamiet is the belief that perfection lies within the details, where the finest ingredients deserve the finest craftsmanship. In every pursuit of perfection, there is passion and perseverance, where attention to detail inspires a masterpiece that's balanced and in harmony. This is the Lamiet philosophy, brewed into every drop of Chang beer. This is the taste of Thai perfection. Chang beer. We brew friendship.
Unfortunately, we are experiencing a few technical difficulties down at the St Mary's Stadium, of course, on the South Coast. We're doing everything we can to get back to our team of Chris Parrott and James Scowcroft. Obviously, we have heard from them, so hopefully we'll be able to get them back very shortly indeed. I can do a quick recap then of today's team news, of course, as we've been speaking about for the last hour or so. Obviously, the big news from a Leicester point of view is the fact that James Maddison is back in the starting 11, which is a massive bonus. Also, Ricardo Pereira back as well for his first Premier League start of the season. So 2 bonuses there. 1 negative, Victor Christensen is out injured, for 4 weeks. And rather than me doing the team news again, I believe we've got our team back down at St Mary's. Chris Parrott and James Scowcroft. Hopefully, guys, the connection can last for this full first half. So take it away, gents. We'll be here just in case it doesn't.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan. The wonders of modern technology, but sometimes they can go awry as well. But welcome to St Mary's, which honestly is only about 50% full, and we are 10 minutes away from kickoff. The Leicester end is looking pretty packed out, but there are an awful lot of empty red seats, and it feels like a night where if Leicester can get on top, they can cause some damage on Southampton. Brittle in confidence, and as we heard in the build-up from some members of the press down here, it is not a happy camp at the moment, despite the dismissal of Nathan Jones and the win over Chelsea with their interim coach until the end of the season in charge. So the Leicester team then is going to be Danny Ward in goal, a back 4 of Ricardo, his first start since May in the Premier League, Wout Faes, Harry Souttar and Timothy Castagna. 3 in midfield, Papi Mendy, James Maddison and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, with Tete and Harvey Barnes either side of Kelechi Iheanacho. For Southampton, they're going to have Gavin Bazunu in goal, a back 4 of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Jan Bednarek, Armel Bella-Kotcha and Carl Walker-Peters. Midfield 4 of Carlos Alcaraz, James Ward-Prowse, the captain, Romeo Lavia and Kamaldeen Sulemana, one of those who arrived in January. And up top, Theo Walcott and Shea Adams, who did the damage at King Power Stadium. with the 2 goals back in August after Leicester led and then ultimately were beaten. James Skokoff alongside myself, Chris Parrott. The stage is set. I was mentioning earlier an awful lot of empty seats here, and you just sense that there's an atmosphere around Southampton at the moment where if Leicester were to score first tonight, could turn quite nasty.
Yeah, absolutely. Their home form is terrible. That's why the bottom of the league is, no coincidence on that at all. They're struggling for confidence and have had a terrible result in the cup during the week. So it's now getting to a stage for Southampton where it's do or die for them. They need, a draw's no good for them today. They need to pick up 3 points. And it's a similar scenario for Leicester really as well. You look, it's close to the bottom 3. They get 3 points today, all of a sudden that gap becomes, bigger, and you can start looking up the table. So it's a huge game for both sides.
6 points at the moment. If Leicester go 9 points ahead of Southampton, you would think, given the Saints season, they won't catch the Foxes. But as you said, if it's 3 points, all of a sudden things look a lot more nervy. Of course, this was the scene, the stage for one of Leicester's greatest ever nights. October 2019, the pouring rain, the 9 goals. Since then, it's been 2 draws. And I just wonder what Brendan Rodgers would take this evening. 5:30 local time, kick-off in 10 minutes time, and I know the boys have been talking about him, but the return of James Maddison, it's difficult to oversell really, isn't it?
It's huge. If you look what he brings to the side, the quality in the hardest place, the hardest part of the pitch to play, that's in the final third, scores and creates. His quality on the ball is outstanding. That's why he's an England player. You look at James Ward-Prowse and his set-piece taking. James Maddison's virtually as good as him, but offers a lot more in general play as well. So I think he's a big boost for everybody. And just having his name on that team sheet, I'm not surprised that Brendan Rodgers has made him captain. I think that tells you everything.
Yeah, that was one of the talking points today, with Yuri Tielemans out, of course. Who was going to captain? Michael Bryant's not at the club. Johnny Evans has been out for a long time. It is James Maddison. It'll be a serious honour for him, James. And if we talk about another contender, I guess Ricardo would have been in that list. He's captained Leicester before, but perhaps because of the injury to Victor Christensen, he's straight back in from the start in the Premier League. Wonderful to have him back, but should we expect too much too soon from him, really, given how long he has been out for with this latest injury?
I think so. I think you have to be patient. The Premier League's a tough league to come back in and pick the pace up straight away, so you have to be a little bit patient. But he's a good player, so Leicester need good players at the moment.
Plenty of Brazil flags to our right hand side in honour of Tete. The Premier League arch has been placed on the pitch. Some giant Southampton flags are going to be waved at kick-off as well, and the PA and the videos at either end of St Mary's are doing their best to try and create some atmosphere, and they're currently showing many a James Ward-Prowse free kick, and of course he is closing in on statistically being the best ever free kick taker in the Premier League. But apart from him, who else in that Southampton 11 are you worried about from a Leicester perspective?
I think the top goal scorer, Shay Adams, on his day is a good Premier League centre forward. If you look at his 2 goals at the King Power at the start of the season, it's a Scottish international. He's been out injured recently, but I think he can be a key player to them as well. He's got a little bit of experience here. Walcott's come back into the team. Be interesting to see how he does. I just think it's all about Leicester today and how they approach the game, their attitude, the confidence. If they start well, I think they can have a good evening here.
I mentioned the empty red seats. They are filling up nicely now, in fairness, and it's nice that it's still light. The floodlights are on, but there's not much spring in the air tonight, given how freezing cold it is. But the fact that it's not pitch black at 5 o'clock is room for optimism. But if Leicester are to enjoy the spring and be well clear of the relegation scrap, they might need to pick up all 3 points tonight. There have been plenty of drama elsewhere in the Premier League already today. Can Leicester finish this Saturday early evening with all 3 points? The players are in the tunnel. And we're about to get a rendition of Well When the Saints Go Marching In from the Southampton brass band. All very quaint, but a very big evening ahead in the Premier League. Southampton's Premier League status is hanging by a thread. And as James Scowcroft mentioned, from their point of view, this is surely a game they have to target to win.
I think so. I think they'll be... Looks like they're going with two up front as well, Southampton, so that shows you what their intention is.
Saturday night football at St Mary's, and a massive game for Leicester City and Southampton at the wrong end of the Premier League table. A win will see Leicester propelled into mid-table defeat, and they will be nervously looking over their shoulders. Southampton start the day rock bottom. They surely have to win. The next 90 minutes might be nervy. They are sure to be very, very important under the floodlights here on the South Coast. Two sets of players out on the pitch either side of the Premier League arch. The referee tonight is Rob Jones. Leicester in their very smart tracksuit tops. Southampton as well. Very soon though, those will be off and the match will be underway. Team news. James Maddison and Ricardo are back, but Victor Christensen is out for 4 weeks. Leicester's awful injury woes continue there. So this is the 11. Danny Ward's in goal. Ricardo starts in the Premier League for the first time since May. Wout Faes, Harry Southampton and Timothy Castagne complete the back four. Papi Mendy, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and Maddison in midfield. Maddison captain tonight, with Harvey Barnes and Tete either side of Kelechi Iheanacho. For Southampton, they welcome back Shea Adams, who scored both goals at King Power Stadium in August. They'll have Gavin Bazunu in goal, a back four of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Jan Bednarek, Armel Bella-Kotchup and Carl Walker-Peters. Carlos Alcaraz, James Ward-Prowse, Romeo Lavia and Kamaldeen Sulemana across midfield, with Adams and Theo Walcott up front. Well, tonight, as you might be able to hear, Southampton is honouring James Ward-Prowse. He makes history tonight. He is now their all-time leading appearance maker in the Premier League. And in a team which has changed so much over the last couple of years, James Scowcroft, James Ward-Prowse has been the one constant.
Just reading out James Ward-Prowse's name, record of Premier League appearance holder for Southampton. 330 something, I think. A great experience.
Certainly is, and he is about to walk towards halfway and shake hands with James Maddison. Both those players absolutely massive for their respective clubs. But James Maddison doesn't start in the Premier League. Leicester rarely win. When he is in the 11, they win almost half of their matches. Danny Ward is just touching the crossbar to our right-hand side in front of the northern stand, where the away end is packed out. One of the longest trips of the season. It's on TV. It's at an awkward time. But the Leicester fans are here in numbers, and they know that this is a vitally important evening ahead. The Leicester blue shirts wandering around in their half of the pitch. Southampton in their team huddle at the moment. Final words of encouragement from James Ward-Prowse. And here we go, ready for kickoff. The venue and the stage for one of Leicester's greatest ever nights in 2019. There won't be 9 goals for the Foxes tonight. 1 or 2 would do the job for all 3 points. The referee Rob Jones is about to blow his whistle. The VAR tonight is Tony Harrington, assisted by Richard West. And it's going to be Leicester all in blue who are going to get this crucial Premier League encounter underway. Tete rolls it back to Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. Leicester kicking from right to left, away from the end where the travelling thousands are, and immediately the ball